Welcome to a Rogue Company video, checking out if the game is worth it here in the beginning of 2024. It's actually only about 4 to 5 months since I did a similar video on my channel when it comes to this game. But I kind of like Rogue Company, even though I'm not playing it on a regular basis. I believe I did the same thing now as when I recorded my last Rogue Company video, meaning playing the game on PC on Steam or via Steam instead of via the Epic Games launcher. Maybe that was a mistake since I do have more rogues unlocked and also stuff unlocked on my Epic Games account compared to the new profile on Steam, but what the heck, it's okay even so. Rogue Company is a free-to-play third-person shooter and the game was released the first time late September 2020. It's developed by First Watch Games and it is published by ADRESS Studios. The game is nowadays available on PC, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and the game supports crossplay. The game released on Steam in late July 2021 and has mostly positive reviews when it comes to all-time reviews, you might say, and mixed reviews when it comes to recent years. So I therefore got curious to first hear what players have been saying about Rogue Company in some of these Steam reviews, so I thought we'd look into that a bit first. The reviews have been made between 2021 to 2023. So, some positive sayings first. Great free game, not pay to win. Great mix of tactical arcade gameplay with different game modes to suit your mood. Okay, not pay to win it says. Just wanted to put in here how insanely different takes I've seen making similar videos when it comes to other games and their monetization models. The opinions differs quite some depending on who you ask when it comes to the definition of pay to win. So just to be clear when it comes to what pay to win is and how it is defined when it comes to online games, here it is. Pay to win, a situation where the player can buy in-game content or in-game changes with real money. That gives the player a gameplay advantage or advance the player gameplay wise. So what about Rogue Company when it comes to pay to win or not? I see that people have been discussing this online, which was expected since you're able to unlock the characters in the game, which are the rogues by the way, using real money. If some of them are better than others, I can't really tell since I'm not aware of that meta in the game if that's the case, so feel free to fill in here. Usually the best or safest paths, you might say, when it comes to monetization models in all games is to just be able to buy cosmetics in the game and nothing else. So maybe we can say that at least Rogue Company is pay to progress. What do you say about that? Well, okay, here's another positive Steam review. Rogue Company mixes casual and tactical gameplay styles to create a hero shooter that, while not particularly innovative, is incredibly entertaining. You've seen this all before, folks, but sometimes good things stick around for a reason. And yes, there's nothing really new under the sun here, but on the other hand, sometimes that can feel good when getting into a game, especially for the first time. You recognize things, maybe even the game do remind you of a favorite shooter you used to play in the past. I remember, for example, when the free-to-play FPS game called Shadowline was released, a game that I've played and covered as well on my channel. People said that it felt very generic. But again, not all games can be super innovative all the time. Some developers don't have the luxury either to experiment too much with new concepts, especially if it might be their first game and so on. But then we have some, of course, negative reviews or criticism as well, so we're gonna look into that just briefly here. Gameplay itself is actually pretty fun, however the game lacks any kind of matchmaking. If you're somewhat competent at shooters, be prepared to sweat every single round when queuing solo. I believe we all have experienced this when queuing solo in many games, getting into sweaty lobbies. However, when you do play a game that has been out for some time already, it usually means that there's a core of players that have invested a lot of time already playing the game. And that with combination of a small player base will most likely make you sweat some. Another example of an older FPS games where you might experience the same is Dirty Bomb that I played quite some through the years. That has a very small player base nowadays, of course, and some veterans that are very good at the game. So it's therefore a bit tough to be a newcomer in those kind of games, especially if you aren't that experienced as a FPS gamer. However, there's no skill-based matchmaking, I believe, in Rogue Company, so I must say that I felt that the matches do vary quite some. I mean, if you've played casual in, for example, the finals. The finals was released not too long ago, and then you might know how tough it can be to solo queue in such a game. And I did not experience the same in Rogue Company. It felt a bit more forgiving, if that makes sense. And as said, I was paired often in Rogue Company with players that had quite different background, at least from what I can experience, playtime and therefore skill also when it comes to the game, which I believe is thanks to not having skill-based matchmaking in Rogue Company, at least not when it comes to the casual game modes. Alright, we have time for one more negative review and say in here. This game used to be an amazing game that I would proudly give a 10 out of 10, but as of recent, the amount of hackers riddling the game is unbearable. Every single game, no matter the game mode, is a minimum of 1 or 2 hackers, sometimes a whole team. Don't waste your time playing this game. I don't know, of course, if this is both when it comes to casual or only ranked, I have no idea. But cheaters and hackers, oh yeah, unfortunately a problem with most FPS online shooters nowadays, especially if it's a free-to-play game. But it's a bit the same here as it was when it comes to the question if Rogue Company is paid to win or not, meaning that you'll get different answers depending on who you're asking. It depends also on what server you're playing on, how often you're playing the game, since the risk of encountering cheaters increase if you're playing a game a lot. And sometimes also if you're playing ranked or in competitive or not as well. During the hours I played Rogue Company when it comes to making this video, I don't believe I encountered any cheaters at all. But that doesn't mean that they aren't around, of course. It can also be due to the fact that I haven't played the game that much, so feel free to fill in here. So, is Rogue Company worth it? Meaning worth your time in 2024, about 4 years after release? If I think about the game as a whole, and the fact that I had quite some fun coming back playing the game once more, then I would say yes, especially if you like the concept of a third-person shooter with these rogues and their abilities. I have to add here that I do believe that the abilities and gadgets as well do not overshadow the actual gunplay in the game, so a good aim usually pays off also in Rogue Company after all. But it's a game worth your time, even though some players are complaining about slow progression system and sometimes wonky servers or a connection. Well, then it's another ball game, and it mainly comes down to if you're looking for a game that you can invest a lot of time into and grind for hours, or if you, like me, mostly wants to play the game like casual on a not too frequent basis, looking for that team-based objective game mode FPS experience. If you're curious, of course, you can download the game yourself, play a game or two, maybe 3 matches and see what you think. I mean, it's free to play. I will most likely still come back to Rogue Company once in a while, even though it has some flaws and even though there's a smaller player base nowadays. But that's me. What about you then? I'm really curious to hear about your experiences. If you have played the game, and of course then if you did like it, or maybe you decided to stop playing, and what was the reasons for that. With that said, thanks a lot for watching, and I do hope to see you soon in my next video. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like, it helps me out here on YouTube. And if you want to see more as mentioned, make sure to subscribe, and we'll talk soon in another video. So with that said, take care guys, and later. Bye.
Left. Keep objective locked.
Move here!
Now. Enemies defending. Move here. Enemies have been wiped out. Nice.
Is nothing. Get up!
The objective. Capture it.
Lethal out!
Another contract in the bag.
You thought you